Okay, I'm live now. All right, y'all. Woo! Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And how are you? How goes it? What's happening? And how was your Thursday? As you can see with my screen, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, challenges, but we're here. I want to say thank you for joining us. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule. We have a powerful, informative, real talk, real experience, real hope conversation tonight uh, about caregiving, particularly and specifically around caregiving for a parent. Um, you know, so we're going to make sure that we, um, excuse me, let's see, yeah, that we give plenty of time for you to ask your questions, leave your comments. But in the meantime, please, 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 by all means, put in the chat where you're looking in from, checking in from. If you're from checking in from East Coast, West Coast, South Coast, wherever you're checking in from, please put your name in the chat. um, we would greatly appreciate it. We like to know where the viewership is coming in. We do know that a lot of you guys look at the video or look at the conversation later on, and you share later on. And we want to say thank you for that. I am your host tonight, Iris Inspires, on behalf of Center of Empowerment. I Empowerment, MEANT, Coin PM. Our job, our mission, our purpose is to bridge the gap, to be a bridge of hope that goes beyond solutions. So we just don't talk about it. We don't just give you a fish. We want to make sure that you shift and change in the trajectory of your family's life. And so we focus on the four pillars of life. And right now, our main focus has been around mental health, taking destigmatizing mental health, destigmatizing getting the help that you need, mental health services, support services, support group. A lot of times mental health services are seeing a counselor or a therapist or going to support groups have gotten a bad name, particularly if you are from the in certain cultures, because we don't go outside of ourselves to get the help that we need outside the family, outside the church. Everything is in, we keep it inside, right? And what we're finding is we are transferring generational trauma, generational hiccups, generational um, patterns that are counterproductive to the healthiness, to the four pillars of life, and that is providership, health and education, that is your mental health, and that is your finances. And so we want to make sure your spiritual, I'm sorry, spiritual and mental, spiritual and emotional, mental. So that's, I'm so sorry. That's education, providership, finance, and then your spiritual, emotional. Those are the four pillars of life. And we impact that by reminding you, teaching you, invigorating you that you are empowered with purpose. You center in alignment with the purpose that's called for you and that you have designated and designed for your family as well. So we want to say thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We don't take it for granted. We have um, but you know what? Do our breath. We got to make sure we pause and do our breath tonight as well. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Put in the chat where you're checking in from, where you're listening in from, listening to us from. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Share it. Um, each one teach one. When you know better, you do better. And the only way we can know better, do better, and grow better is by sharing the information. A lot of people are stressed. I was working with some clients today, and so what I want to say to you is this too: stress is a can kill us because it not only creates habits that it has the potential to create habits that are not healthy and produce illness in our life. So we're talking about emotional, spiritual illness. We're talking about physical illness. We're talking about illness within our family dynamics and structures. Those are those patterns that's creating poverty in our being, in our mind, in our how we're going about life. And it's so important that we take the time and allow ourselves to heal, to release, to set ourselves free from ideas that are not working for the best and good of us and for the healthiest part of us to thrive, to not just survive, but to thrive. You will often hear me say that our ancestors survived so that we can live, so that we can thrive. We're in critical times right now, and I say critical times in the sense of we have an opportunity to make some very positive, strong moves in the direction if we don't panic and we stay clear and focused, and we gather the history, we gather the information that we have that can make us the strongest that we can be. All righty, put your name in the chat. Let us know where you're checking in from. We greatly, 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 greatly appreciate it. While you're doing that, we're going to ask you to take a deep inhale through your nose, hold, and on the count of 3, you're going to exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, and exhale. Yes, I needed that. I really ran in here out of traffic. I was in traffic, got in. I had doctor's appointments this morning, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I could be in traffic because some folks are incapacitated, right? They're unable to say that they were sitting in traffic or had to drive through traffic. Come on, breathe, inhale, and hold. Those are the things that we take for granted. 2, 3, exhale slowly through the mouth. 4 and 5. Notice how I'm moving to the next side. Yes, inhale, hold. And on the count of 4, we're going to exhale through the mouth with a big sigh. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. Yes, I needed that. Ooh, boy, did I need that. It is that breath that reminds us who we are. Breath calls us family. Our blood is what distinguishes us. Remember that it's because we all have been given the beautiful opportunity to inhale, exhale oxygen. That's what makes us family. Humanity. We are family, the human family, because of our breath. And we have to really learn how to respect that in one another, and cherish that in one another, and honor that in one another. So Center of Empowerment, we offer support groups. We have our grief and loss support groups. We will, if you go to our website at www.coinpm.org, you'll see that we have a pretty powerful over the next few weeks, all the way into May, of support groups. We have guest people that are going to be coming on talking more about caregiving, talking about grief and loss. Mother's Day is coming up next month, so we have a special guest that's going to be coming next month talking about mothers who have lost their children. She had lost her son and went fast with. And I'm going to let her share her story, but she's going to share her story and share how walking through that grief, walking through that sadness. We at Caregiver believe that we're here to support you. We care for the caregiver. Did I say we are here at Caregiver? We are at Center of Empowerment. We care for the caregiver. We support and understand the challenge of grief and loss and the feelings that come along with that. And so we are here to support you in that journey. Tonight we have Lori James. She should be coming on rather shortly. And she's going to be sharing how do you maintain your life? Why is this a passionate? People say, why are you so passionate about this? It's because I personally had to care for my mother through a 9-year battle with cancer. It was breast cancer that metastasized to her lungs, her bones, and her brain. And it was heartbreaking. Um, I was a caregiver for my grandmother, and that was heartbreaking. And I had to learn how to live life without them, and I had to learn how to take care of myself in the midst of all of that. And oftentimes, what happens with us as the caregiver, we don't take care of ourselves. Um, we don't. We go, we go, we go, we go, we go, we go, we give, we give, we give. And what happens is when it's all settled, said and down, because we're on adrenaline, because we have to. We're every woman, every person, every human being. We could be male or female, son or daughter, um, wife or husband, child. Uh, when you don't take care of yourself, you leave yourself in a position to healed, to be sick, to be diseased, to be diseased. And when I say disease, I'm meaning not in ease. So your mind not in ease, um, your body not in ease, your spirit not in ease, your finances not in ease, your living situation not in ease, just diseased. And so we want to make sure that I am here backstage. I log in through YouTube. Um, okay. I don't know that you can log in through you. I see you here, but I don't see your face. You have to log in through that link with that I gave you. It should bring you on to StreamYard. I see your setup, but I don't see your face. You have to come in through StreamYard. Let's see what it's saying. She's having a challenge. She's texting me. I did come in through StreamYard. Okay, but I don't see your face. I see that you're, let's see. Hello? Are you there?
I'm here. I don't know why you
I don't
can't see.
see I
Okay,
can't see you. I don't know why. I see your backdrop, but I can't see your face, unfortunately. I don't know.
right.
It's because
Let me try to.
go out and try to come back in and see what happens.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'm gonna give her a few more minutes while we try to see it, get her on the live, having a few that happens. Uh huh. You still there? So are you logging out? Let's see. It has your name here, but it says authenticated with YouTube. I'm not sure how you came through on YouTube. You're, you should be, I've never seen that before. Let me try this. Let's see. Oh, there you are.
Have to do it without a background then.
Without the background. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Well, mine's is flipped too over here. I don't know what's going on with the background. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah. How are you? I hear you. You need to breathe. Huh? How
Yeah,
was your
I
day?
was I was breathing with you, so
How was your day today?
it was okay.
It was okay, busy. Well, I understand. I had a busy one too. So I mean, it was crazy, especially this evening. I don't know what happened with the traffic. I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out, Lori, to be here, to share your story. You have I admire you in your journey and watching you. I've been knowing Lori, we've been knowing each other for a long time. I was going back and looking at pictures and I was like, oh my goodness.
We have a lot of pictures together,
We
right?
have a lot of pictures together over the years. Yes. Even when at the Jewel Diamond Taylor's, I think it was the author something she had, and you bought my Breathe book there from that one, and the
Uh-huh.
workbook, that, and then, but we go back even further than that. So I want to say thank you. I want to say
Okay.
thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for sharing with the audience. That your story, your information that you can share as a caregiver to your mother. I
Mhm.
was looking at the stats, Lori, and over 18 million children take care of their parents, their
Wow.
aging care, their parents. That's a lot. I was
That's
like, hey, that's a lot. But and culturally, as American Africans, Africans of the diaspora, that culturally, we take care of our elderly. We take care of our parents. We do not send them uh, to homes and things of that nature, unless it's something that the care that is needed is beyond our reach, and then we may put
exactly.
them in a, then we have to do what we have to do in those cases. I want to make sure I say that because sometimes there's a lot of guilt that's read that
Exactly.
people ride. So share. We had you here on the platform. You talked about um, uh, Suddenly Single, the
Hmm.
book you were part of, and going through divorce. And what I didn't realize at that time was that you were taking care of your mother as well. And so
Exactly.
you went through all of that. And how, talk to us. How do you do it, honey? Because you are a busy bee. No.
Right. Well, I'll just start off by saying that I guess I have a family legacy of caregiving.
Mm,
It started off with my grandmother. My grandmother, she had a massive stroke, so she was paralyzed on one side when
mm.
she was 80 years old, and she stayed bedridden for 10 years, from ages 80 to 90.
Wow.
So at that particular time, it was so easy. And the reason it was so easy because my family all lived on the same street. I lived
Wow.
next door to my grandmother. My mother lived across the street. My aunt lived down the street with, my cousins and everything. So we all just took turns. So my grandmother had her home and she was the only one living in her home, but it was so easy because like I said, I was next door. And at
Hmm.
that particular time, my daughters were teenagers. So they loved to go over there and help when it was
Hmm.
my mother's turn. I would relieve my mother, or if I couldn't relieve my mother, my daughters would relieve my mother. And they loved it
Hmm.
because being teenagers, they felt like, oh, this is our house for a night or whatever,
Hmm.
and they felt like we can do what we want to do, even though mom is next door and
Hmm.
granny's across the street. We could,
Hmm.
they felt they loved it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So from that, when my mother moved in with me, that was like you said, I was still married, I was still living in Hawthorne and everything. And it was just that at that particular time, it was just more so mobility issues, using a
Hmm.
walker and having a difficult time in getting around.
Hmm.
However, once we moved 2 hours away, she started on a decline. And,
Mm.
so who knew? It's almost been 3 years now since I've lived here, like 2 hours away from my family. And, she's been on the decline, and it's been more than just the mobility issues. It's like more of a cognitive decline,
Hmm.
and where things that she was able to do before, she's not able to do anymore, like
Hmm.
simple things like
Hmm.
using the microwave or using the remote or using the
Hmm.
phone, simple
Hmm.
things like that. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, who knew? Who knew?
Who knew? You just don't know how
Yeah.
life is going to turn. So how do you manage that? How do you one, the emotional part of it, right? That's to see your loved one, to see your mother change before your eyes.
Hmm. Well, it is a barrage of emotions, both good and bad. I mean, you may have gratitude, a feeling of accomplishment. You're advocating. You may have compassion. You definitely have to have patience, and you
Mhm,
have to have strength, physical strength, right, and
mhm,
emotional
mhm,
strength. But then
mhm,
on the other hand, you may have anxiety. You may
mhm,
feel frustrated. You may feel fatigued. You may feel overwhelmed. You
mhm,
may feel resentment. You may feel stress. You may feel, so your emotions are all over the place.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it just from day to day,
Mhm.
minute to minute,
Mhm.
you have to deal with it, you know.
Well, how do you deal with that though? Because that's a lot. I think about, the frustration, the physical strength that's needed, resentment, the all of it. That's a lot. Guilt, um,
Hmm.
wanting to do some things maybe that you can't do or
Hmm.
wish you could do, or upset that they didn't do some things that they should have did when they could have, or what. I mean, just how do you deal with that? Do you have you personally gone through counseling? You got to. How does your what have you done? How do you do it?
No, I haven't personally gone through counseling. There are, I have gone to support groups. Kaiser does have support groups that are online, and I have participated in those and just, shared my story, listened to other stories, and that helps out a lot. And then they also give you resources. So I have, ran across some resources. Like right now, there is a organization that comes out and give showers. So
Mm,
that's, something that is taken off of me because, again, that requires physical strength to help somebody whose
mhm,
mobility isn't that strong,
mhm,
So
mhm,
I deal with the all the resources that I can get. But one of the things that I like to do is travel. So traveling for me is my release,
mhm,
um, and I have quite a bit of travel scheduled for this year, more so than
mhm,
any other year.
mhm,
And it's to the point where I'm trying to decide. This organization gives me 5 days of respite to use. It has to be used consecutively. So right now I'm trying to decide, do I use it for one of the trips I'm going on, or do I just use it for just me to do nothing, to just wake up when I want to wake up, or, do whatever I want to do. So someone suggested that I do it that way. Just use those 5 days to just do whatever you want to do. Because here's the thing. Um, just for example, getting up in the morning, cooking. So sometimes, like, I get up in the morning and I'm thinking, oh, I just want to lay here. I just want to scroll on social media or watch TV or whatever. But I'm
mhm,
thinking,
mhm,
no, I have to cook for her because she is diabetic. So I have to
mhm,
cook for her. That's number
mhm,
one.
mhm,
And then there's times when I feel like, you know what? I want to fast. I want to diet. I want to fit into that dress or that bathing suit for that trip.
mhm,
And it's so hard for me to cook and not eat, to smell the food,
mhm,
to put the seasoning in it, to
mhm,
look
mhm,
at it. So
mhm,
that's one thing that I don't have willpower in as far as cooking and not being able to eat. So that's one thing that I deal with. Or I could have an upset stomach or something, and I have to cook.
mhm, mhm,
And so I even with an upset stomach, by me cooking, I'm going to find something else to eat that's suitable for my stomach at
mhm,
that
mhm,
particular time. So
mhm,
that's just one of the things that I deal with
mhm,
is the cooking part of it. Yeah.
mhm,
And as far as my social life, well, I was a social butterfly.
mhm,
So, well, one thing is I'm so far away from my social circle that when I do go, to the LA area, it's a real treat to hang out with my friends or go to an event, a concert, a play, or whatever.
mhm,
So
mhm,
that's such a treat for me. So right now, what I'm doing is the shower lady comes
mhm,
2 days a week.
mhm,
So I wait until the shower lady comes and she's up, she's dressed. My mother's up,
mhm,
dressed, and then
mhm.
that's what I save all my errands for. Those days.
Mm, Okay.
So then we go together. She's riding along with me, and I'm going to the
Mhm.
grocery store, the post office, the cleaners, wherever I need to go. And
Mhm.
that's how I handle that. You know, and
Mhm.
other days I just stay in and we stay in.
So how do you, so that's, I like that. This is good. One of the things I wanted to ask you was the resources. So are the resources connected to Kaiser, or Kaiser, are they outside of Kaiser?
They
Like
are
the person.
they are actually outside of Kaiser.
Okay.
This particular organization, you know, they provide uh, supplies. You know,
Hmm. Mhm.
they are not affiliated with Kaiser at all because now they are providing her medications. They are providing her, you know, supplies if she needs chucks or whatever, um,
Mhm. Mhm.
stuff for her testing for diabetes
Mhm.
and all this kind
Mhm.
of stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, they are outside of Kaiser.
So can if you can't give me the name now, that's fine. But can you give me that information, and then I can hand that for, pay it forward to, I
Right.
know some folks that are definitely that I've been working with. They're definitely in need of that kind of support. That's coming in
Okay.
for the showering and all that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for that. So Lori, how do you? I hear you. So you say, taking that time. Do you ever feel guilty about wanting to take time for yourself?
I do sometimes. I do. And especially, like I said, this year, I'm
Mm-hmm.
having a lot more travel than I normally have. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, well, you know, first of all, who's going to stay with her? And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm thinking, is she going to, you know, get the care that she needs?
Mm-hmm.
And then is she going to miss me and, you know, wonder, well, where am I and what am I doing? You
Mm-hmm.
know, I do.
Because I know some of the challenges when you're dealing with elderly. I remember this specifically with my grandmother, and when I say elderly, because they try to say we elderly,
Right.
but that's
Right.
debatable. That's
Look,
debatable, right?
no,
Yeah.
no, Webster says 65, you're elderly. So,
Well, I got a few. I got a couple years then. Oh my goodness. But I think about like sudden changes in her environment would send her in a
exactly.
tailspin. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's one of the things I get concerned about, you know, because
Hmm. Hmm.
the question, are we in LA? No, we're not in LA. You lived in LA for ooh, 80 some years. So
Hmm.
LA is imprinted in your mind. But no,
Hmm.
we're not in LA anymore.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
so those kind of things
Kind of
I
things that mess up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what would you recommend, knowing what you've walked through, seeing how you've walked through and go through the changes, the challenges? What are some of the things that you would recommend to the audience who is now embarking upon having to care for their loved one? What would you?
Well, I would say try to get all the support you can and try to use all the resources you can. Um, my particular situation, what I have noticed in families
Mhm.
is that there's usually one person that steps up.
That's what I just
One
said this.
person
I
that
just said
steps
this. Yes.
and in my particular case, I was an only child. So, hey, whether I step up or not, here you go. It's
Mhm.
on you.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
on you. So, and then what makes it hard for me again, like I said, is I'm 2 hours away from my family. So I would say if you could get support from your family, get somebody to help out and use all the resources that you can. Now, here's the thing, like that organization that I told you about, it has nothing whatsoever to do with income. But there are
Mm.
so many people that are in this gray area
Mhm.
where you don't qualify for IHSS support and
Mhm.
you don't really have enough to pay for someone to come in because
Absolutely.
I've I've done the paying for someone to come in,
Mhm,
and they charge $35 an hour. So if I
mhm,
want to go somewhere for 4 hours, because it's $140, because if I want to go to a concert or play a movie, a date or whatever, that's what I would have to pay for
mhm,
those types of services.
mhm,
So that's where we are right now. We don't
mhm,
qualify for IHSS.
mhm.
So if you
And
want to
that's pretty common, and it's really that was one of the things I was sharing with I shared with a couple of clients. I said I don't even know what to say about that because I know when I worked for the county, that was one of the areas
go, hmm
that I think is one of the most ridiculous thing. You have somebody that's worked all their life, and because they make a dollar or two over whatever that threshold is, which is not enough,
hmm
they don't qualify to get, IHSS to get the services to help support in their well being and care.
so
So it's
oh, go ahead.
no, no, I'm done. Go
No,
ahead.
I would say, and you asked me what I would say to the audience, and what I
Hmm.
would say to those who are either still working or caregivers, or
Hmm.
you know thinking about your future.
Hmm.
Invest in the type of insurance that takes care of you. I forget what
Long term. It's called long term
that's
care.
what it is. I
Mhm.
remember when like you said, you worked for the county. When I worked for the county, I remember, but I had just started. And I remember them coming to the job and offering that. And I wanted to get it so badly. But I
Mhm.
believe at that time, which was years and years and years ago, it was like $500 a month. And I was like, I can't
Mm.
afford this, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and I wanted it. So I would suggest, if they can get that right now, get that right now while you're still
And get it and maintain it, because I think about a company that I worked. I was in private sector, and I was able to get that insurance
Mhm.
for myself and for my parents. They
Okay.
allowed me to get it for my parents, but I didn't keep it up.
Right.
And so what happens a lot of times too is we'll get the insurance for, and then we don't keep it up for whatever reason. Life shows up, stuff happens, priorities, whatever. And so we got to really, that's that shifting the trajectory of our lives. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
about here. How do we now shift the trajectory of our lives so that we are prepared to take care of our loved ones, and then as we are maturing, I'm not going to say becoming elderly, as we are maturing, having things in place so that our families are not weighted down. I have one child, and I would not want my son to feel obligated to have to take care of me because mama is sick and didn't put in things in place where it could make it lighter for him. And so that's something, that's a conversation. What would you say?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
you
to
know
that.
what? When I couldn't afford that, and then later in life, I realized I need something. But the type of well, I have more than one insurance policy,
Hmm.
but this
Hmm.
particular type of disability policy that I have, I I don't really, I don't really care for the restrictions. So I have a disability policy that says you can get this money, your loved one can get this money to take care of you if you
Hmm.
have a stroke, you
Hmm.
have a heart attack, you
Hmm.
get cancer.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be one of those things where I need care. I
Exactly.
I can care for dementia. I could, it's a whole,
It's a
you
whole
know,
host of reasons why you get especially because we're living longer now. We're living, where I just heard of a woman in Africa. The queen mother in Africa lived to be 111 years old. I
yes.
had a friend here whose grandmother lived to be, I think she was 102, 103.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're living longer. Our
Exactly.
life is living, and so we will be needing, we may be needing support and care. So, as an only child, what are some of the other things in taking care of? Because I know people that are in similar situations that you are in. What else would you recommend?
Okay. Well, I just want people to be aware that in caregiving in general, but especially a child parent situation, that the roles reverse. And you got to get used to the roles reversing.
That's
And
good.
even with the roles reversing, you might feel some guilt and you might feel some pity. So you might spoil them and do things that you wouldn't do if it weren't your parent. So you
Mm-hmm.
might be more lenient, or you might, oh, for example, she's a diabetic. Can I have some ice cream? Oh yeah, sure, here. Knowing she's not supposed to have ice
Doesn't have
cream,
no
right?
ice cream.
Or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. That's what I mean
Mm-hmm.
by that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard when the roles reverse.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's hard. And then another thing that I would like to mention is when you're a caregiver, especially parent child caregiver, people don't realize, they think of the physical.
Mm-hmm.
This person is not as mobile. I need to bathe this person, maybe in the bed. I may need to change their diaper. I may, or depend or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
may need to help them with the shower. But what you don't think about is also the emotional aspect of it. I have to make this person feel, like a human. They want to go out, they still want to talk to their friends, they still want to see their family. I remember one point when my mother was kind of staying in bed all day and she wouldn't get out of bed. And then my one of my daughters would come over, she'd come here, she'd come in that living room, I want to see that. Or
Mm-hmm.
my granddaughter who's 2 years
Mm-hmm.
old, oh, she'd come out every time. And we noticed that when we're FaceTiming them, how her face lights up when she sees her great granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
and who's a toddler. So these things we have to keep in mind, that we have to not only take care of their physical health, but also their emotional and mental health. But people also don't realize we have to take care of their financial health. I have to make
Mm.
sure that I'm managing her bills. I'm filing taxes for her, which I'm in the process of doing right now. And,
Mm-hmm.
all these things that people don't even think about when they think of caregiving. So I'm paying my bills, running my financial house, and I'm running hers, and, all these things that
Mm-hmm.
people don't
That's
even think
good.
about
You
that.
know, you don't, because I didn't. That you're absolutely correct. You have the finance. You have to think about your finances, their finances. Wow, that's true. Their taxes and making sure things. So again, Lori, you are
Mhm.
burning the candle on both ends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say. I actually think about every day, every single day, think about moving back to LA. My family, they say, we'll help you. Just move back. We're not
Mm-hmm.
coming up there. I mean, they come when, like if I
They can.
travel or something like that. And in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, they were there every week. Then it got to be every 2 weeks. Then once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Then holidays.
Mm.
so
Uh-huh. It's
so
dwindling, huh?
it's dwindling
Mm-hmm.
down. So
Mm-hmm.
they're like, okay, you come here, we'll give you all the help you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking into that, I'm looking into that because there's times when I say, oh God, please help me. And then there's times I say, I got this. I don't need no
Mm-hmm.
help. So it's a roller coaster ride every day, every
Mm-hmm.
single day. It's a roller coaster ride. What are you going to do, Lori? I've thought of all kind of solutions. Well, maybe I can get someone. I have a spare room. Maybe I can get someone to help come move in and help. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've thought of everything,
Mm-hmm.
every single thing. I've even thought of what we call the unthinkable
Mm-hmm.
in our community,
Mm-hmm.
and I've looked into facilities, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
here's the price. She got this going on. She got diabetes. She needs insulin dependent. Oh, well, that's another $300. Oh, she got
Mm-hmm.
this. Oh, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. That's another $300. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's out of the price range.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's out of the price range. So yeah, that's what I am. I really am thinking, Laura, you you can't do this much longer by yourself like this. Because there have been times when she has fallen,
Mm-hmm.
no one's around. I had to call the paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I know these people are sick of me. That because I tried and tried. There was a time when I could tell when she fall, I could tell her, okay, just get in a praying position, get on your knees, put one leg up, and then you can boost yourself up off of a sturdy surface, and she could stand. It's
Mm-hmm.
not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to call the paramedics.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
because
when
no one
and that's
around to
like
help.
dead. It's like dead weight. I remember one father my grandmother took in the tub, and
Mhm.
we could not. She couldn't help us. We
Right,
couldn't get her up,
right.
and we had to call a paramedic. She was so upset. She said, "They're gonna see me naked." I said,
That's what she was concerned about. Shit, that was the only thing she. I don't blame her though. I don't blame her.
"Girl, Mama, I promise you, they don't care."
They've seen it all. They've seen it all.
So
And
we
then
had to cover her up and make her feel better. But yeah.
yeah, and one guy told me, I guess he could just see the frustration on my face. He told me, you know what? We don't charge for this. Anytime you need us,
Mhm,
just call us.
mhm,
We do not charge unless we transport. So
mhm, mhm.
just call us anytime you need us. And I felt a little
That's
better.
good. That's a
Yeah.
makes you feel a little better. I think if I'm, listening to you, one of the things that's really important is knowing what your resources are,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
knowing where to go to get the help that you need. And really the ups and downs, if you can remember, that's a part of life, period, anyway.
Right. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? You might
Yeah.
have that added padded because you are not you the roles have reversed,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But the ups and downs are there, and then if you can maintain that, whatever your spiritual your family support and your spiritual support, family, spiritual, and emotional support, those three kind of help kind of gird you up and support you up to kind of get through the difficult times, if I'm hearing you correct, especially when we see our loved ones change before our eyes, and there's nothing you
Exactly.
could, yeah, and you can't
Yeah.
do anything about it but embrace the ride. Yeah, when
Exactly.
they're independent. They're used to doing things on their own,
Hmm.
and they're not able to do that anymore. They're very dependent up on yourself. Audience, is there any questions? You got anything you want to put in the chat? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. We could put your comments in the chat. This is a good time to ask right now. You have Lori James here. She is sharing her journey of caring for her mother, caring for a parent who she's an only child, so she doesn't have siblings. She doesn't have anybody outside of her children, okay, to rely upon to help her through this time. So that's a whole another dynamic we take for granted. Those of us that have siblings, we take it for granted. And you are absolutely correct, Lori. I just was sharing just yesterday. I went to visit one of my I call her my she's like a mother, a dear mother to me. She was one of my mother's dear friends, and I was telling, so the family we like, we're family, and I said
Hmm.
there's always one in the family that takes is the primary caregiver. That's just how I don't know why it's like that, but that's just how it is. It is, and so you have to find that rhythm, so you don't get so frustrated and angry and upset, right?
And that's all, like in every family and even in the generations, even
Mm-hmm,
with my own family, my own daughters,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
my 7 grandchildren,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
there's one that always says, out of my grandchildren, Nana, I'll take care of Granny when you go on your trip. Okay. One, only
Uh-huh.
one out of 7.
Mhm,
Okay, so it's so true, and I don't know why that is. I don't know, you know.
mhm,
Now, of
mhm,
course, if my mother goes over to her house instead of her coming to my house, there's she has her siblings to help out if she needs to go work
Hmm.
out at the gym or go somewhere. But she's the one, always the one that steps up and says,
Steps
I'll
up,
do
yeah.
it.
I'll do it. No problem. I got this. Yeah.
Hmm.
It is always, it's that way. It is always that way in most of our families. Any other parting words, any other things you wanted to share with the audience? You talked about, I think it's really good. You talked about um, being aware, financially aware,
Hmm.
emotionally aware, um, the knowing when you're stressed and strained and when you need to take a break
Hmm.
and get
Hmm.
some aid and resources to kind of help you with that. Anything else you want to talk about and share?
Yeah, just when, like you said, when you getting stressed or whatever, it's like you need to find out what you need to do to decompress. Like
Mhm.
you do the breathing, but like exercising, you could do that at home. You could put on a video on YouTube or whatever and follow along and exercise with them. You can dance. You can learn the new what's the new with the fan.
The fan, the what is it? The whatever that dance is, that one, yeah. The clap, the
Yeah,
fan,
yeah, yeah. So that
yeah.
that helps me. Look,
Uh-huh.
dancing and because I would make reels and dance and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
dancing and listening to music, whatever it takes to de-stress, decompress, you have to do that because you don't know because there are also, and I don't know what the statistics are, but there are also a lot of cases when the caregiver gets worse off than the person they're taking care of because
Well,
they're not taking care
that's what happened with they say that's what happened with what was that actor that just died in Mexico and his wife had been
of. Oh
deceased in
yeah,
the bathroom. Gene Hackman.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And she was considerably young. She was in her 60s, as a matter of fact.
yeah.
And so she was the primary caregiver, and she wasn't taking care of herself. And they said she had been, we say on live now, on live, she had been deceased for about 7 days, I think. And
Yeah.
they didn't know if that was one of the things that kind of triggered
Hmm.
him because he hadn't eaten it in so many days. So you're absolutely correct. We
Right.
have to take care of ourselves. We have to. It's important.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
important. You said it too. If that may look like resting, getting up later, having somebody to come in so you can sleep a little later.
Hmm.
Uh, I know I didn't, and because we we're resilient, we know how to push ourselves. We know how to
Exactly.
stretch ourselves, and we'll keep going. And it doesn't hit us oftentimes
Exactly.
until after the fact, because when we're seeing our loved one life change before our eyes, we're also going through a grieving process.
Exactly. Hmm.
A loss because things are changing is not the same.
It's not.
Um, and so really giving yourself that space to do that. So I thank you so much for sharing. I thank you for coming in once again
No, you're quite
on the
welcome.
yes, on the platform. I appreciate it. Um, she's the CEO and founder of Purpose Youth Foundation. You want to check her out. She's on all social media. Um, under Lori, tell them, is it Lori James or definitely
Yes,
the Purpose
yes.
Youth Foundation?
Yeah,
But you have
Lori James or Purpose Youth Foundation or Lori Blue Diva on Instagram.
you better leave her alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have another page. It was a page where you do Purpose Youth.
What, the travel?
No, not the travel. It was the home Purpose Youth. What was that page where? Oh Lord, I can't think of it. It's a
Not
new
look,
page you just recently did. Home
girl.
repairs. Okay.
I don't know what happened. Lori's life hacks.
There it is.
Facebook said we're not having it. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know why. I have no idea why. Yeah.
They just closed the account?
Yeah, yeah. It might have been one of those things where, look, you giving too much information out, and we want people to steal use the pharmaceuticals and not the natural remedies, or something like that. That's what I think
That
it was.
it could they don't. Yeah, you got a valid point there. We was talking about that today too, which is why we that are having our platforms, we got to make sure that we are also creating our apps and things. So whatever happens with social media, we can direct them to where we are to get the information. So she's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she is on Twitter, tweet.
Oh no, not anymore. Not
Not Twitter.
anymore. Not anymore.
TikTok. I knew it wasn't Twitter. I messed up.
Yeah, no,
TikTok.
when it yeah, I was on Twitter and X, but not anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not on Twitter and X either. That was a mess up. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Lori James, Lori Blue Diva, or Purpose Youth Foundation. Make sure you check her out. Check out what she's offering. Check out what she's doing. And thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing with our audience your life hacks on being a caregiver
Right.
to our parents and to our loved ones. So thank you, Lori, and
Thank
we
you for having
appreciate
me.
it. We'll
Okay.
see you next time. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. Bye.
Bye bye. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in. That was a dynamic, beautiful information that she gave us on being a caregiver and caregiving for our parent, our mother, our father, or the elders in our life, and making sure that we are doing what we need to do for ourselves so that we can be there for them. What is the first thing they tell you on the airplane? Put the mask on yourself first, and then you can take care of everybody else. So make sure you take care of yourself. Check us out at www.coinpm.org. We have other services that are available to you. We offer food for the unhoused, for the elderly and the disabled. We have additional support groups. We have a list. We're going to get that information from Lori on resources, additional resources. But go to our website. We got a lot of information there for you. And if we don't have it, we can direct you where to go. God bless you. Thank you again. And we will see you next time. Bye bye.